What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. To my Spanish people, bienvenido al canal. To my Japanese people, minasan watashi no channel o yokoso. Hi, so check it out. I wanted to make a video where I go over some of the combos regarding vampires, alongside with providing you guys with some useful tips, as I noticed that a lot of you guys are new to playing vampires. So I thought a video like this could help you guys out a lot. Now, I don't want to do too much talking, so let's get right into it. But I do want to say that the first part, I'll go over some gameplay, explaining my thought process, and going over the combos. But stick to the end, as I will go over the deck and try to explain why I run each card and give you guys some more helpful tips and little secrets that maybe you don't know about when playing this deck. But yeah, without further ado, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel, as that will help me out a lot. It will help the channel grow some more. So yeah, thank you guys, and yeah, let's get into it. And we are going second against Live Twin Spright. And in this game, I want to show a little hidden combo that I don't think many people know too much about when you're playing vampires. So please pay attention later on in the duel. I'm going to show you a nice little hidden combo that maybe not too many people know about. Alright, so he went into Gigantic Sprite. I'm going to use Ogre to pop that card and prevent him from activating his effects. Boom, boom, bye-bye, sayonara, get out of here. And then I'm just going to fast forward because he's just going to do Sprite stuff. He's going to normal summon and extend and yada, yada, yada. Alright, it's back to us. And we draw Fraulein. So here I'm going to skip my battle phase so that I can activate Evenly Match, so that I can wipe his board a little bit. Alright, so skip the battle phase, go into this, Evenly Match. Then I'm going to normal summon our Ghost. And the reason why I don't go into the Vampire combo, because I don't want to send Fraulein to the graveyard. You actually want to have Fraulein in hand because she special summons herself during the damage step, and then she can give your monsters an attack boost. And then here I toggle on, so make sure you toggle on during your end phase so that I can steal this monster. Just to prevent them from special summoning if they have any Sprite monsters in hand, so that they cannot special summon. So now they don't have any monsters, so if they want to do Sprite stuff, they have to normal summon a Sprite. So we negate the Harpy's Feather Duster with our trap card. Alright, and then I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here because they're just going to continue doing Sprite stuff. Alright, they go into another Sprite out. They're going to search for their Gigantic Sprite. They're going to enter the battle phase after this dark. So see here, we get to special summon Fraulein, and then we activate Fraulein, give Ghost a damage boost. And then this is the great thing about Fraulein, that she is not once per turn. She has the quick effect, pay life points in multiples of 100. Your battling monster gains that much attack and defense during that damage calculation only. But this is not once per turn, so our opponent is a bozo. He does not know how to read cards, so he attacks into Ghost, and we give Ghost another damage boost. So please guys, make sure you read your cards, read your own cards, read your opponent cards, so that you don't be like this bozo here and make a little stupid mistake. Alright, then he's just going to take out the elf. I don't know why, but whatever. Alright, so now we draw Ghost, so we can summon Ghost, so that we can send Ghost to the graveyard, so that we can search Sorcerer. And then from here, Familiar is going to discard Sorcerer, and we're going to search for Void. Now here, this is the little secret right here. Alright, please try to pay attention. I'm going to try to break it down. So we already used up our normal summon, right? We cannot normal summon anymore. We already used it. But this is where Sorcerer and Ghost in the graveyard is another little hidden combo. So first, let's go over Sorcerer. You can banish this card from your graveyard. One dark vampire monster you normal summon this turn can be summoned without tributing. So you basically can banish Sorcerer so that you can normal summon Void without tributing. But we already used up our normal summon. So what you want to do is, first you want to banish Sorcerer. So let's activate that effect. We're going to banish Sorcerer. Oh, sorry, after we go into our Link Summon. Alright, so I'm just going to steal. Okay, so now I'm going to banish Sorcerer. Now, very quickly, when you banish Sorcerer, it's going to ask you if you want to chain link Vampire Ghost. This is very important. Don't chain link. Okay, click no. Say no, you do not want to chain link. Because if you chain link, you're going to mess up the combo. So do not chain link. So banish Sorcerer, do not chain link Ghost. You want to activate Ghost manually, alright? So after Sorcerer resolves, then you want to manually normal activate Ghost Graveyard effect. And then Ghost Graveyard effect is you can pay 500 life points. Immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one vampire monster. So now we can normal summon Void, even though we used up our normal summon already. We can now normal summon Void, and because we banished Sorcerer, we can normal summon Void without having to pay tribute. So this is like a little hidden trick that I don't know many people know about. So now we can get Void without tributing any monsters. And then we can steal our opponent's monster. And then we can continue with our board. So that's a little hidden secret that I don't think many people know about, using Ghost and Sorcerer in the field. And with that, we can attack for game. Alright, so one more time, very quickly. This is very important, alright? So remember, when you have Sorcerer, you want to activate Sorcerer's effect, banish it, but do not chain link Ghost. Let Sorcerer resolve. After Sorcerer resolves, then you manually activate Ghost Graveyard effect to pay 500 light points and normal summon one vampire monster. And then you can normal summon Void without having to pay for tribute. Then you can activate Void's effect to steal 2 monsters and go into the zombie vampire or Dampier, whatever you need. So that's one little hidden secret I don't know many people know about. But yeah, let's move on. Alright, so for this game, we're going up against Dynamorphia. And very quickly, I just want to pause because I want to go over this hand. Now, this is a very good hand. Because right here, what we have is Vampire Ghost, which is our starter. When we normal summon Vampire Ghost, we can send one vampire monster that we have in our hand. And you always want to have either Familiar or Retainer. You want to have one of those monsters to discard. So lucky for us, we have Familiar. We have Jacobolin, which we can discard a zombie monster from our hand to special summon it, so he acts as an extender. And we have Mizuki, which you always want him in the graveyard because he can banish himself from the graveyard to special summon a zombie monster from our graveyard. And then we have one of the best cards in the deck, which is Zombie World. Without Zombie World, a lot of our combos just won't work. So let's normal summon Vampire Ghost, and we are going to discard Familiar. Then we're going to search for Sorcerer. And the reason why I search for Sorcerer is because I also want him in the graveyard to use his graveyard effect, which you can banish this card from your graveyard. One dark vampire monster you normal summon this turn can be summoned without tributing. So we can pretty much banish him from the graveyard and normal summon Void without having to pay tribute. So that's why I search for him. We activate Jacobolin, special summon him. We activate Familiar, send Sorcerer to the graveyard. Then with Familiar, we're going to search for Void. Then we're going to activate Retainer, send Vampire Ghost to the graveyard, and search for our trap card. And our trap is our Omni Negate. Set Zombie World, and then we're going to go into Vampire Sucker. And this is your ideal turn 1 board that you want to make. If you ever go first, this is the board that you want to make. You want to have Zombie World active, you want to have Sucker, because Sucker, it says if you would tribute a monster for tribute summon, you can tribute a zombie monster your opponent controls, even though you do not control them. So on our opponent's turn, we can activate Vampire Ghost to pay 500 life points to normal summon one vampire monster. So this is how you can use Void to tribute two monsters from our opponent's field and pretty much break their boards. But also on our turn, if we want to normal summon Void, we can still tribute two monsters from their field instead of tributing our two monsters. So Vampire Sucker with Zombie World and Vampire Void and Vampire Ghost in the graveyard, that's what you really want. That's your setup. That's what you want to always aim for. Alright, so I'm going to fast forward here. He's going to do his Dynamorphia stuff. So we'll just fast forward a little bit here. Let him do what he's got to do. Set. Then it's back to us. Alright, then we draw another Mizuki, which is great. So I flip Jackabolin just to see what he's going to do. And I let him summon because, again, I do want him to have monsters on the field so that I can tribute them as cost instead of my own monsters. So I don't negate any of this. What I'm actually waiting for is to see if he has Ferret Flames, because if he has Ferret Flames, then that trap card is going to make me pretty much wipe my own board. But since he didn't activate Ferret Flames, I guess he doesn't have it, so I just activate my Omni Negate now. He activates his trap card to negate my trap card, but it's all good. So he pops that, then he's just going to continue with his stuff. He's going to make one more fusion monster. Ding. Alright, and then now, well, once he's finished, I can go and use his monsters as tribute. So boom. So I get rid of his Kentragina and I get rid of his Rex Term. So I normal summon Void by using his Rex Term and his Kentragina. And then I'm going to activate Void's effect to steal two monsters from their graveyard. And the reason why I didn't go for Kentragina or Rex Term is because I know that these trap cards and this monster allows him to bring back a monster from their graveyard. So they can pretty much, if I aim for Kentragina or Rex Term, they can pretty much reborn it and it can disrupt my Void combo. So that's why I don't go for these two monsters. Instead I go for these two regular monsters. So he's going to chain all of that. He's going to bring back his Rex Term, which is okay because I didn't target it with Void. And then I make an Underworld Goddess using Sucker, Rex Term, and and Underworld Goddess is a boss of a monster too. So with this one, you can use one monster your opponent controls as material to link summon this card. So that's how we were able to use his Rex Term. So I used two of the monsters that I stole, and plus Vampire Sucker and the Rex Term. And now I have Underworld Goddess and I have Void. Now this is two graveyard negates that I have here. Okay, so I'm going to attack into that. He's going to activate, but I'm going to negate with Void. Get that out of here. And then I'm going to attack. He's going to activate another graveyard effect, and I'm going to negate with Goddess. And very quickly, another great thing about Zombie World and Jackabolin is that Jackabolin has a quick effect that you can target one zombie monster in either graveyard. It doesn't have to be your graveyard, it could be your opponent's graveyard as well, and you can special summon it but banish it when it leaves the field. So this is another great way to steal monsters from your opponent's graveyard, and then because they get banished if they leave the field, so you can kind of run your opponent out of resources. So that's one good way to use Jackabolin. It's a good way to make your opponent lose out of resources. So I negate everything, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so let's get in. Welcome back. Let's get into another example. Here we don't have an ideal opening hand, but we can make something work. So here is a situation on what you can do when you don't have Retainer or Familiar to discard. Instead you have another Ghost. So we're going to normal summon Ghost and send Ghost to the graveyard. And then we're going to search for Sorcerer. We're going to send Retainer. So this time I send Retainer instead of Familiar because since we're going first and I don't have Zombie World or in hand, and I don't have any way to get Zombie World out on the field. So instead I'm going to go a more defensive route. So I'm going to special summon Retainer so that I can search for my Omni Negate. He's going to activate Kelbeck, but it's all good. We still get our trap card. So I set the trap card, so now we have an Omni Negate, we have a Disruption, and we have another Negate, and we also have a potential board wipe. So yeah, this is one way that you can play defensively. And we're going up against an Emancipator. He activates this. I'm going to negate that because I know that card can be problematic. It's an extender that allows them to normal summon twice, so yeah, I don't want that. Alright, and then I'm going to Ash the Z-Almond, and that pretty much puts an end to his first turn. Alright. Negate that, and then it's back to us. Alright, and then we draw Mizuki, which is great. So I normal summon Mizuki, and I go into Avenged. And the reason why I go into Avenged, because if you don't know Avenged, he has an effect during damage calculation. If this card battles an opponent's monster, you can send one zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. So I like to use Avenged to get Zombie World, because with Avenged we can send Banshee to the graveyard, and then we can banish Banshee and activate Zombie World. So that's one way to get Zombie World. Send Banshee to the graveyard, activate Banshee, and then we can search for Zombie World. And then I set my evenly match and we pass turn. Alright, and then he's going to do an Emancipator stuff, so I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. He's going to search for a rock or whatever it is that Emancipator people do. He's going to add the, what is it, core key, something like that. And then he makes Emancipator Rising. Now here I activate Ogre. Now I know that this card he can negate my Ogre, but I pretty much I really wanted to bait this. I wanted him to use this, so I activate Ogre so that he can pretty much negate Ogre, but I really wanted to bait him out because I don't know if he was going to keep that monster on the field, but what I really don't want to be negated was my Avenged. Because during the battle step, I want to use Avenged's effect one more time so that I can send Glow of Bloom to the graveyard or anything like that, so that I can search for Doom King. So that's why I activated Ogre, even though I know he was going to negate it. So it was just a bait. Alright, so he makes Ulsa to get my Mizuki so he can continue extending. Alright, we can fast forward a little bit. So he makes Zombie Vampire. He doesn't know how our deck works, I guess, because by milling he's helping me out as well. And then he mills again, and then we mill Glow of Bloom so we can activate Glow of Bloom. We get Doom King out here, so now we can have a negate and a banish. He's gonna get his Block Dragon, then he's gonna go into Estus Cold Talker, I believe. Yeah, he makes an Estus Cold Talker, try to wipe my field. So he gets rid of Zombie World. Alright, then he's gonna attack into Doom King. And then here he's gonna attack into Avenged. So with Avenged, I'm gonna send Mizuki to the graveyard. And then I activate Evenly Match. He's gonna get rid of his own Estus Cold Talker. Now here I milled Mizuki. So here I believe I have two Mizukis. One Mizuki, two Mizuki. And Mizukis, I run two of them because they are not once per turn. So you can use their graveyard twice in one turn. Their graveyard effect, you can use it twice in one turn. And that's exactly what I do. So first I activate, get Doom King out here. And then I activate Mizuki again to trigger Doom King's special effect. So now I can banish the Black Dragon with Doom King. And then I special summon Uni Zombie. And then I send Familiar. And the reason why I send Retainer is just as a follow-up. So, I don't know, just in case if I end up drawing into a vampire monster, I can use Retainer as a follow-up. So that's, Familiar. I keep mixing up Familiar. Retainer's the doggy. Alright, so, yep. Then I just attack and I set Forbidden Droplet. And then our opponent doesn't have anything to do, but, yeah. So he's just going to quit. Alright, so I just wanted to show this game to show you how you can play a little bit more defensively when you don't have your opening vampire combos and when you don't have access to Zombie World from the beginning. So you can definitely play defensively, and when you play defensively, I try to focus more on the zombie part of the deck as opposed to the vampire deck. When I want to play aggressively, I try to focus more on the vampire part of the deck. But yeah, that's a wrap for that. Goodbye. Let's move on. Guys, so we're here in the deck portion, so let's go over it real quick. We have Familiar, 2 Familiars. This is going to search for Void, add it to our hand. We have Glow of Bloom. If we have Zombie World on the field, we can send this to the graveyard, banish it from the graveyard so that we can special summon Doom King Baladrock. And you always want to special summon Baladrock as opposed to Void, because if you special summon Void off of Glow of Bloom, unless if you're in desperate need. But the reason why I don't do it is because whenever Void is special summoned, then she cannot activate her effect to steal monsters from the graveyard. So I always try to normal summon Void as much as I can. We have 2 Retainers. Retainer is pretty much going to search for our trap card. Uni Zombie, this is our zombie starting line. This is also a starter and is also a level manipulator, is a tuner, so this is a very important card. With this card we can pretty much go into our synchro monsters. This is also the weakness of the deck, because if Uni Zombie or Ghost gets imperm, then unfortunately that puts an end to the combo. Like, we just cannot do anything if we get imperm. So that's a downside to the deck, which is why I don't think it's very competitive, but it's a fun deck. We run 2 Ogre because it can pop Gigantic Sprite, it can pop field spells, it can pop set traps or spell cards that might be on the field when they activate. We have 2 Ash Blossoms. You know what Ash Blossom does, very popular hand trap. I switch 1 Ash Blossom for a Ghost Spell because Ghost Spell can negate Call by the Grave. Sometimes when I want to resurrect Doom King, I get hit by a Call by the Grave and it sucks. Also with Tillermans dropping, a lot of their effects happen in the graveyard, so Ghost Spell can negate graveyard effects as well, so I thought maybe it would be a good addition. Mizuki, you already know you can banish this card from the graveyard and you can special summon a zombie monster. Sorcerer, this allows us to normal summon a vampire monster without having to pay tribute. Banshee is pretty much going to search for our zombie world. Fraulein is our extender during the damage step, and she can pay life points to boost our zombie monster's attack. Jack-o'-Bolin is another extender. You can discard 1 zombie monster and special summon it. So sometimes you can discard one of these 3 monsters, and if you have Zombie World on the field, you can discard Glow of Bloom and activate Glow of Bloom via Jack-o'-Bolin. Also, if Zombie World is on the field, you remember Jack-o'-Bolin has a second effect. During your opponent's turn, you can target 1 zombie monster in either graveyard and special summon that monster, so it's a good way to steal monsters from your opponent's graveyard. And if they destroy that monster, or if you use it as link material or anything, it gets banished instead of going back to the graveyard. So you can potentially run your opponent out of resources using Jack-o'-Bolin. And then this is our zombie boss monster. It can negate an effect, and it can also banish a monster from the field or the graveyard. Void, we already know, the zombie boss monster. You already know Harpy's Feather Duster to remove back row. Change of Heart. Sometimes I go back and forth between Change of Heart or Crackdown, but this is pretty much to snatch a monster from our opponent's field, and the whole gimmick of this deck is that steal our opponent's monsters to use it as our own resources. Dark Ruler No More, because I thought since we don't have a lot of board breakers, I thought Dark Ruler No More in combination with Evening Match can maybe help break some boards. So I'm testing it out. I don't really run it a lot, but I think with Telements and all of this stuff coming out, this is the problem with the Vampire deck. Each time the meta changes, it kind of makes it more difficult for us. So just trying to figure out ways to stay relevant, I suppose. And Zombie World, you already know, is a very, very important card. Called by the Grave, Forbidden Droplet to just negate monsters on the field. Evenly Mash, a potential board breaker. Imperm to negate monsters, a good hand trap. Vampire Sucker, as you know, we can tribute our opponent's monsters instead of ours when Zombie World is on the field. So this with Zombie World and Ghost in the graveyard and Vampire Void in hand, lets us break boards. Anima is just to suck up monsters from our opponent's field. Linkaribo, you know Linkaribo. This is to mill our deck. So you have to be careful with this now. With Telements coming, you have to be careful because I don't know if milling our opponent's deck is going to be a good thing. So we have to be careful now with this. Dampier is also to get rid of resources from our opponent's field and then add them to our field. And this is also just to get resources from our graveyard to our field. And Baron, you know, is just a Omni negate. Skeletal, Dragon, Felgrand, this helps us banish monsters, so I use it just to banish monsters off of our opponent's field or graveyard. This Immortal Dragon, I use it to send Banshee to the graveyard so that I can get Zombie World on the field, or if I have Zombie World on the field, I can send Mizuki or I can send Glow Bloom. So this is just to send monsters to the graveyard. Avendrate is also to send monsters to the graveyard, but also we can reduce our opponent's monster's attack by the level that the monster had that we sent to the graveyard, so it can also help clear board somewhat. And Dark, I use this to pretty much link climb, so I can steal a dark monster from our opponent's graveyard, and then I can make a Fascinator, link 3, then Fascinator, I can steal another monster from our opponent's graveyard, and then I can tribute this card and steal a monster from our opponent's field, and then I can go Yuki-Onna, or I can make Underworld Goddess. But yeah, this is pretty much the deck. I hope this was very helpful. If you would like to see more breakdowns like this, let me know. And yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you all. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.